Welcome, citizen, to another Starcraft Nation broadcast. This is your host, Venerati. Once again, we are covering the North American Weekly Tournament here. We are going to see Duke facing off against Fatvirgin once again. So just to remind you, if you had not seen, or just to bring you up to speed, if you have not seen the previous videos here, we are going to be seeing the North American Weekly Tournament here. And this is the diamond level play in between the winner and the runner-up. Now, what we saw last game was Duke go up against Fatvirgin on the very same map. We had a different placement, though, on spawning-wise. We had Fatvirgin over here, and Duke was back in the same position right here. And it's going to be interesting to see how much the spacing or your spawning points on the map make that much of a difference here. We are seeing them at the 12 and 6 o'clock here, so they are at the widest distance. And just that the running distance really seems to motivate a lot of players to make it lean a little bit more towards the macro, as we are going to see here. And really, also, you have to change your tactics up, as you know, the early pushes or the cheese generally don't work as well with these long distances, because you're not able to utilize that really early timing where you catch, you catch Duke either casting down a new Nexus, or he's bringing in 2 more warp gates as he finishes up his four gate push, or the timing right before the weapons level 1. So really, it makes a big difference, and it's really interesting to see, because things just never really stay the same, especially with this kind of stuff. But back to the game, we have Duke being a really just a huge thorn in Fatvirgin's side right here with this probe, doing a great job of harassing with the probe and not allowing the probe to actually take any sort of substantial damage past the shield, which, I mean, basically it's able to refresh itself and become a new drone every time it does this. So it's really not doing that much damage in of itself, but is making Fatvirgin respond, and it is taking up his cognitive process time and really just taxing him and distracting him. It put that in a very simple term, just being a distraction here. And of course, we have this Marine coming out here, which will easily be able to take care of this probe, especially keep him right there. Yes, on the ramp. With a Marine on the ramp, this probe has been pretty much rendered useless as a scout. Sorry, buddy, but it's time to go home. And, it's actually pretty rare that you actually see your scouts come back. It's a lucky day for him and his probe wife. So we do have Fatvirgin returning the favor, coming over here and taking his SEV and just taking a look-see and seeing what Duke is up to. Duke is mirroring his build earlier and just opening up with the Gateway and Cybernetics score. So most likely going to see, yes, a Stalker coming online after this. Not really having to worry about the Reaper due to the rush distance. He can afford to get that Zealot out first and not worry about his mineral line completely being plundered, because the Reaper would be able to completely outrun the Zealot even without the Nitro Pack upgrade. The Reaper, if microed at all, would be able to kill any Zealot that was ever put down, except if he had legs, but of course you're not going to have legs this early on. And we do see a Robo coming down for Duke, so Duke might be mixing it up, well, is mixing it up here a little bit, might be seeing an seeing an Observer, or we could be seeing Immortals coming down to try to face off against this rack, although I do not believe that he is aware of the rack situation here. No, he is actually only aware of 1 barracks here, so maybe a little bit of metagame anticipating, because of the distance, that we're going to see either a couple of racks dropping down here with some medevacs or some tanks. It could really go any way right now, seeing as we don't have any upgrades coming out right now, but we do have 2 Marauders on the field as well as a Reactor, so we are going to be seeing a lot more Marines. And we do see a full saturation of the refineries right now for Fatvirgin, so we are going to see a lot. Yes, we are going to see the starport. We are going to see a lot of Vespene intensive creatures. Units coming out for the Terran. Yes, that's Zerg. Zerg are creatures. Terran, I guess you would call that just units. Either way, we do have the Terran units coming out here and sparring with this Stalker. This Stalker is screwed in a bad way. He was not pulled away from the Xel'Naga Tower soon enough, and the Terrans were able to corner him and punish him for ever existing. And we have an Absorber coming out here, and the Observer is going to be peering at the base and really letting Duke know what Fatvirgin is up to. And this is just, I've said it 100 times, and I will continue to say it always. These Observers are so useful. These guys have a permanent cloak on them. They really don't cost that much, and they fly. So it's like an all-seeing eye, pretty much wherever you want to send it. Or for all of those the old Warcraft junkies, the Eye of Kilrog. I mean, that's pretty much what this guy is right here. And of course, you can see the depths down in the Death Star little hole. That totally looks like the core that Palpatine fell down. Either way, we do have the Observer moving towards Fatvirgin space. He will be seeing this expansion coming down for Fatvirgin. Fatvirgin is beating Duke to the expansion, so we might see Duke choosing to skip an expansion and going to one base push out, which right now he does have a substantial little army growing here. And right now it leans to Duke's favor, but because Duke has to run so far down here, by the time he gets down here, Fatvirgin could have already produced an army that could equal the Immortal Zealot build that we have going on here. And we do see a Nexus coming down for Duke, so Duke is going to be leaning towards more macro and less micro with an early push. But I want to make this robotic space. So Duke doing a good job of utilizing that intelligence he gathered from this observer and going to be reacting with those awesome Colossus with the Thermal Lance upgrade, which is getting chrono boosted out. So he is really going to try to cut through them like butter. But we do see the medevac coming over here loaded up with a lot of units, and it is looking to take a peek over here and drop some units down. So we do see a drop coming down here in the back of Duke's base. Duke, though, had a lot of units right here, so Duke is going to be able to respond without losing anything here. And this medevac is so... will it make it? Yes, the medevac does make it out. Pretty damn close, too, with 33 health left over. So these guys are dropping out of this medevac, counting their blessings, seeing as this thing is really not feeling so great right now. Either way, Duke is now trying to... well, he's not trying. He has mustered up quite an army here to repel the Terran threat that we have. It's pretty even, seeing that we do have 4 medevacs on the field for Fatvirgin. These Marines and Marauders are really going to benefit from those healing rays that the these medevacs cast down. So we do have Fatvirgin moving out here. He does have one Hellion. The Hellion is moving up in front and is basically seeing what's going on. We do see a transfer coming from Duke. I don't know necessarily if Duke needed to transfer that many out there, but we do actually have the forces clashing together right now. The Stalkers are not in the battle right here. We do see some force fields coming down. Not really sure why he threw those force fields down. Not really accomplishing much here, but we do see a little bit of micro coming down here on those Zealots, and all of those Zealots do go down to the range fire of the Terran units. We did only see one medevac drop here from the Stalker fire, so Duke's army pretty much cut in half right there. More micro coming down on these Zealots. We do see another medevac go down. His one Zealot is called back, counting his blessings as all of his brothers had been mercilessly slain. And really, I believe Fatvirgin is suffering here because he does not have any upgrades out of his tech lab. Either way, we do have a Viking going down, coming out there, basically doing nothing but dying right there. A little bit more micro coming from Fatvirgin, but he would benefit so much if he had the concussive shells. Concussive shells cost so little and do so much, especially against these Zealots. These Zealots will never be able to touch your guys unless they have these. And now we see a unit cancel right there. Not really sure why he canceled all of those Zealots. Not sure why he did that, because he ended up casting them down anyway. So Fatvirgin just kind of sitting here, loitering around Fatvirgin's expansion, but the Colossus is here, and this Colossus is going to do so much damage to these units right here. We see so many of these units just getting cut to shreds by these thermal lances. The Colossus already racking up 6 kills here. We don't have any Vikings to answer. We have one Viking on the field right now, so that Viking is desperately needed up on the front. But we do not have a second Colossus coming up here, but with this Colossus just punishing these ground units here, this Bile Ball just falls prey so quickly to these Thermal Lances. 10 kills for this Colossus. These Fatvirgin units are just desperately trying to get away from it, but with the Thermal Lance upgrade, the range is just too much and is going to be able to kill just about all of these units as this medevac